Hello, this is David Archibald, the priest at St. Andrew's Episcopal Church, writing to you or videoing you from Wednesday after the ice storm here in San Antonio. We're sorry we missed our first Monday deadline, but we were out of the office. We are talking about various ways that we can practice and know the presence of God in our daily life, in our regular, ordinary day, which means that there is a presence that can be known. I find that the most important thing to do to know the presence of God is to sense it as the background of everything I do. What covers up the background, though, of the presence of God are usually my random thoughts. The mind covers up the sense of the presence of God, which is underneath and deeper than my thinking. So if random thoughts clutter my mind, then what is it that could help me unclutter? And for me, one of those things is to do one thing at a time. And the opposite of doing one thing at a time is multitasking, which I know for lots of people is almost a badge of honor here in our modern day world. If we can do more things at once, we get more done and we feel good about ourselves. But in the spiritual traditions, they would say that doing more than one thing at a time and having more thoughts than are required at one time actually covers up or veils, or that makes the presence of God become hidden to us. It slips away. Our task in life is to be aware of and pay attention to the presence of God at the same time we are here in this world doing things. If we do too many things at once, then the presence of God is covered up, almost like a collage covers up the background paper that it rests on. So a big question then is, how is it that we can do one thing at a time? How can we be present to God while we're doing just one thing at a time? Because for me, I'm really terrible at this. I do lots of things all at the same time. But if I were, for instance, trying to do this video and listen from my cell phone and have some lunch while I'm sitting here talking to you, and think about what I'm doing at 3 o'clock today, later on, so many thoughts would fill my mind that I would lose contact with the presence of God. So I invite you to try, and if you can't actually do one thing at a time, just pay attention to how many things you actually are doing at one time. At first, just count them and be amazed at how scattered and fragmented we are when we're doing multiple things at once. If we could slow it down and really just do one thing at a time, then the background presence of the living God would be much more accessible to us. It would not be hidden, it would not be veiled, or in other spiritual terms, we would not be blind to the presence of God. In sort of non-religious terms, when we are blind or the presence is hidden or it's veiled, the term there is unconscious. Although it looks like we're conscious, in the spiritual sense we are unconscious, almost sleepwalking through the day, doing many, many things at once. So I invite you, try to see how many things you're doing at one time. If you could slow down, do one thing at a time, then you have a much better shot, a much better chance of being present to the living God, presence to the Holy Spirit, while you're in the midst of your ordinary day. I know it's hard for me, but let's practice the presence of God and then truly have a divine, sacred life.